Well, hey, in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about UPSs. Do you need a UPS? Can you use a UPS on a generator? Because a lot of times we think, wow, I've got everything backed up, but when the power don't come back on in a certain length of time, then guess what? You have nothing on. So you're thinking, if I put a generator on that UPS, then we're cooking with gas. But let me tell you, not all generators and UPSs are equally created to work nicely together. We're going to take you out to our radio station tower site, and I'll tell you a little story about what happened to us back in the day when we were trying to put a generator on our UPS for the very first time. Okay, we're at the tower site right now, and we actually have a couple of UPSs that run things here. We have one that runs basically just the equipment in the equipment rack, and we have another one that actually runs the transmitter alone. There's enough power in it that keeps the transmitter going for about 5 minutes before that generator kicks on. Transfer switch switches the power to the generator power. So we only need about 5 minutes of run time. We just don't need a whole lot. Currently right now, this is the 6 kVA unit right here, and this actually runs the transmitter, and it's about 72% loaded right now. So it's in that 3/4 range. I don't like to go over 75% when I'm filling up a UPS. This one over here, this one's a much smaller one. It actually is about 40% loaded, and basically all it does is back up everything in this rack, which is all of our data, the computers, everything that runs things is basically primarily on this UPS right here. And again, it's only 42% filled right now. Lots more room for expansion on this. But to get to the point of what I was saying earlier about the UPSs and generators combined, not all of them will work the way you want them to work. Before we got our new transmitter here, we had an old transmitter. It was way out of date, but we actually didn't have a UPS on it. We had the UPS on the rack, basically like this one here, but it was a different brand. It was the APC brand, and every time the generator would kick on, it would switch over fine. The equipment would stay running, but it would actually discharge while the generator was running. It didn't want to play nice with the UPS. It was, just probably a tolerance setting that was inside the UPS, but you couldn't change that. You couldn't change that in the UPS. It wouldn't let you. So we were kind of stuck, and it's like, oh, this ain't gonna work. 30 minutes later, while the generator's running, everything would die, and we just couldn't do that. So I did a little research to see if I could find another UPS that would work, that the tolerances weren't so strict, and I found Tripp-Lite to do just that. Even if I used a portable generator on the APCs, I noticed they were doing kind of the same thing. They would discharge as the generator was running, and it was as if you didn't even have it plugged in to the generator. So the best thing to do, I got a smaller Tripp-Lite, one of those smaller units, and put it in its place at that time, and lo and behold, it worked. The generator run, it kept up with the generator, equipment stayed running for as long as that generator needed to until it went back to main power once again. But it was strange because when I was in the Tripp-Lite, it didn't have really much of a tolerance that you could change it, and it didn't really matter where I put it, it still was working fine. So I personally, Tripp-Lite's not paying us, nothing like that. We're not sponsored by Tripp-Lite. I just noticed that when it comes to running a generator on our UPSs, they just work. They just work, because I was thinking when that was kind of discharging at that time, that maybe it's because the generator wasn't at 60 cycles. So I fine-tuned that, and it didn't matter what I did. If I brought it down lower or higher than 60, nothing mattered. It didn't matter. But once I put the trip light on there, all of that went out the window. Works fantastic. So every time we have a power outage out here at the tower site, the transmitter never goes off, the equipment never goes off. As long as, it takes about 9 seconds for the generator to kick on, and that length of time, everything stays running because there's enough run time there, just enough for the generator to transfer. Once it does, everything's back to normal again. It works fantastic. Now what we're going to do today is I think we're going to go ahead and do a kind of a power outage to let you see exactly what happens with these things when the power is transferred. Once it transfers, you'll see that everything, it's as if nothing, the equipment don't know any better. It works perfect. All right, there you go. The power's back on. We're 100% generator power right now. Now during that transition, you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, the lights went out. I saw it, the lights went out. Yes, it did, because the lights in the air conditioning are not on the UPS, so we don't need them to be on UPS. During that transition, as long as this equipment is up and running, transmitters running, everything else, computers, we're good. So both UPSs maintained while that 10 seconds or so of the generator cranking up during the power failure. Now everything is up and running, and it didn't see anything. Everything is perfect here. So when the power comes back on, obviously the transfer switch over here will switch back to house power. Once it does, again, the equipment won't know any difference there. So, and anyway, this was not to show you what to get in your situation, because everybody's UPS needs are totally different. But this was just to give you an idea of what happens in the real world on something maybe a little bit different than your house would be. So hopefully this kind of sheds some light on that. Hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Like and subscribe, comment, please comment. Let me know what you think about UPSs maybe in general, or a UPS problem that you may have had in the past, and we'll see if we can't work things out for you.